y'all, welcome to Back to Basics with Crystal. So here we are, we're in the kitchen today, and the holiday season has officially begun. Thanksgiving is just a few days away, and Christmas will be shortly behind it. And just like many of you, I am always looking for new and really cool things to do at our Thanksgiving table. So I came across a post with some dinner rolls featured. Now these are really cool dinner rolls. I've made them before. I have a fabulous recipe for dinner rolls. You make them in a muffin pan, they pull apart and you can butter them. Really, really good. The difference between the rolls that I've made in the past and these is that there's a secret note inside. Can you see it? Probably not. So all of the rolls that I made have little secret notes, what I'm thankful for. And I thought this would be a really cool addition to a Thanksgiving table. So I decided to do a test run last night. So I wanted to share with you guys today my findings. Now, you see, you don't see anything, no notes or anything. So we're gonna open it up together. They just pull apart. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Do you see anything yet? Do you see anything yet? I promise you, there's a note in here. See if we can find it. There it is, right there. Can you see that? Can you see that? There's a note. So this was, let's pull the note out. Let me put that down. So we're gonna pull the note out. And I just printed these up on the printer and cut them out. And the video, when they pulled out the notes, were nice and clean and pretty. And you can see that's not the case here. There's bread baked onto this, and it's baked into the bread. And here was the note that was inside. You are enough. This would be a very, very cool addition to all Thanksgiving tables. The problem is that if you're not on the lookout for these notes, you could probably choke on this paper because you can't see the note because it's in the bread. So let's try another one real quick. So this one. Now you can kind of see the note right there. Let's try one that you can't see. Okay. All right, here's one. All right, you don't see the note, right? So let's pull it apart. Can you imagine butter on that at the Thanksgiving table? Okay, do you see anything yet? All right. Let's look here. Do you see anything yet? The notes actually, you can actually see it. It's kind of right here, right there. And we pull that note out. And this one is thankful for good food. Now this is a really cool idea, and I think that the original post, it might have been with those, you know, those pre-made biscuit rolls that you pop out of the little container that goes pop, and not a homemade roll. So because it's kind of embedded in, I won't be doing this at my Thanksgiving table. Really, really cool idea, but you just can't see it, and I just can't risk somebody choking on it. But I am here today to show you this roll recipe because it is just too good not to share. Okay, so in our bowl, we have 6 tablespoons of butter. I'm just using regular salted butter here, and I've also got powdered milk. I need 2 cups of scalded milk, so I have 6 tablespoons of powdered milk to add to my very, 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 very hot water. And it's very, very hot. And we're just going to mix all this around and get everything incorporated. And the butter doesn't have to be completely dissolved. We basically just want the milk, the powdered milk, dissolved and rehydrated into milk here. Just like that. So to this, we are going to add, we're going to start with 4 cups of flour. Now, I know the recipe calls for 6 cups. And with baking bread, you don't always use all of the flour. You really have to go by feel. You're going to start off with flour, and if it's very humid, you might need more flour. If it's very dry where you're at, you might need less. So we're going to call it for 6, but you might not use all 6. Now this recipe, we are doing it by the cup. Other recipes will go by weight measurements. Okay, to this, we're going to add in half a cup of sugar. Now, here's something else. If this is kind of a sweet bread, it's not super sweet like a Hawaiian bread, but it is a sweeter bread. And if you're not fond of sweet breads, just cut the sugar down by half. And this is a raw sugar. You can use white sugar. And in case I didn't say it, we are using all-purpose flour here. And to this, now we're going to add in our salt. And this is where we're kind of breaking the rules here, because everybody knows that the salt will stop the yeast from multiplying. So we're breaking a major rule here, but that's okay. And now we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of yeast. And this is not instant yeast, this is just regular yeast. This recipe goes very fast. To this, we're going to add in 2 farm fresh eggs. And I'm just going to crack them outside of the bowl. As my grandmother always told me, a rotten egg will ruin the entire dish. And we don't want that. Okay, so there's our second egg. And now we're just going to mix this. Whoopsie. It is going to be very messy and shaggy, as they say. That's okay. We just want to incorporate everything. We really don't want to start the kneading process yet. And if you want, you can get your hands in here, but I don't want to do that just yet. Plenty of times for getting our fingers messy to come. Okay, so now that we have everything incorporated in here, what we're going to do, we have all of the flour wet, which is what we wanted to do. Now all we're going to do, the next step, is we're going to cover this with a lid. And we're going to let this sit for 30 minutes. Just let it sit right here for 30 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, so the timer just went off, so we're going to open this together. And what you're going to see is that the dough has grown quite a bit. You can also see little bubbles in the dough where the yeast is very active. This process is a hydration process. To our already cleaned countertop, that is a super important step to take, is to make sure your countertop is very clean. And I clean this with a half vinegar and half water solution. I don't use bleach because you can't ingest bleach, but you can ingest vinegar. So we're going to take 1 cup of all-purpose flour. So now we're at cup number 5, basically. And then we're going to take our 6th cup and just set it to the side. Now this is when we get our hands dirty. Flour up our hands a little bit, and we're going to start pulling the dough out of here and right onto the counter. Right into the flour. Let me get a scraper. Okay. So we want all the dough out of here. And now we're going to start kneading, and you're actually going to see how fast this comes together. Yes, you can use a mixer to do this. I have a very nice KitchenAid mixer my mom got for me. Was it 2 years ago, I think? And I use it with all kinds of stuff. You know, when I cakes and different batters and icing, but I don't use it for my bread. And the reason why is because bread, you really have to feel it. So we're just going to start kneading this in. And you can see it's very, very messy, sloppy, jiggly. And we're just going to mix this in and just get it all incorporated here. And it will begin to take shape really quickly. Okay, so just a little bit of coconut oil on here. You could use any type of oil that you have in your house. I've got coconut oil, that's what I'm using. Okay, so we're going to put it back in its original bowl. Back in its original bowl. And we're going to, since it's a little chilly in the house, I'm going to put this in the oven with the light turned on. Now, if you saw the introduction, you saw the oven, the light was on. I was kind of heating the oven a bit without actually turning it on, just to create a warm environment for the yeast to do their thing. Now, this next step could take 30 minutes. It could take an hour. It really depends on how cool your house is. Yeast, like a warm environment, they really go active and crazy. Plus they have all that sugar and the milk to munch on. So you put that in a warm environment, this could move very, very quickly. If you just leave it on the countertop like this, it could take an hour in a cold environment, in a cool house. And it's probably about 70 degrees in here, maybe 68, which is cool for Southeast Texas in my house. If you had to go run an errand right now, one of the kids called you and you had to run, you could stick this in the fridge and the coldness from the fridge would stop everything, would slow the yeast down to a snail's pace. So we're gonna go pop this in the oven and we'll be back. Okay, y'all, it has been right at about 30 minutes. And as you can see, this has risen to right at about double. Now, if we don't touch this, it will just keep on rising and probably rise right out of the bowl. But we don't want to do that. So with clean hands, clean countertop, we're going to turn this back out onto the countertop here. Just going to... Let's go ahead and punch it down a little bit. Punch it down, lifting it up, and onto the countertop. I'm going to move this out of the way. And we're just going to kind of shape this. It smells so good. I love the smell of bread. Well, you know, even in this, you know, not even cooked yet, it just smells amazing. Okay, so we're not doing much of shaping. This will make roughly, and you can see it's still bubbling up. The yeast is very active in here. This will make roughly 24 rolls, or at least we're going to make it make 24 rolls. So I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to cut each half. Now, let me tell you something. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Well, one, you don't want to cut your countertop. There really is no right or wrong way. We want about this much dough per roll. And it's a couple of ounces there. And it doesn't look very big now, but this is going to be almost triple the size after it gets cooked. So let's cut off the other end. You can see. And it might be a little bit smaller. The beauty part of making your own at home is that they're not perfect. They're perfectly imperfect, like I like to say. And we just keep cutting this down. We're not doing much of shaping, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We basically need to double that here. So I'm just going to take this and we're just going to eyeball it. You could totally, if you wanted to, get your scale out and weigh out your dough and then, you know, make little even, perfect rolls. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eyeball it. And yes, some of my rolls will be a little bit bigger and some, oh, shoe fly. Some will be a lot smaller. Not too bad. I've gotten a pretty good hang of it here. So right about there. Ooh, that might be a little bit heavy. I find cutting it works a lot better, and then you just take your scraps and you just start to put them together. Cutting works a lot better than pulling them apart. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, this is bread making. I'm trying not to complicate this. We just want it right about the size of the palm of our hand. Okay, so I've got my muffin pan in place, and I've taken, as you can see here, we've got some of the rolls out and covered with a dampened, warm towel bread cloth. The other half are back in here and covered. We don't want these to get dried out at all as we're working with them. So we pull out our first one, and just with our knife again, because like I said, it's a lot easier, we're going to cut this into 3 pieces. Try to make them as equal as possible, but I don't fret over the small stuff. And shape it into a ball, just like that. Put it in the pan. I'm going to put it over here to start with so you can see. And just shape to a nice little ball and put it into the pan. That's all there is to this. That's it. I'll show you again. So cut our dough into 3 equal pieces and shape. Put into our muffin pan. Y'all, this is so easy and so pretty on the table. And everybody loves the fact that you can pull them apart and just put your butter right into there. Okay, so the second half of the dough I've had on reserve over here. We're going to do something a little different. So we're going to open this back up. Now we have all these pieces, and you see they're kind of swollen up a little bit. We're just going to basically just form these into a roll itself. We're not going to do anything else. Kind of stretch and fold and pull underneath. You want to seal it up underneath. Okay, just like that, and drop it in your muffin tin. I'm just going to pull and stretch, and you see just making kind of a ball here. And then underneath, you're just pinching all of the seals closed. Everything closed. Oops. I just wanted to show you an alternate to doing these pull apart. So with the muffin tin, you don't have to do the pull apart. You could do these as well. So I wanted to give you two different options. To me, both options are equally as good, equally as fast. Now we're going to take a couple of damp tea towels and we're just going to lay them on top of this. Why do we use dampen tea towels or dampen bread towels? The reason is because we do not want our dough to dry out. Dry dough, when it gets that crust on the outside, will not rise properly. So you keep everything nice and moist and warm, and things will begin to rise. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn my oven on. And I'm going to put this on top of the stove. And the heat from the oven warming will begin to warm these. We only want these to rise by about half. So let me go turn the oven on real quick. Okay, so the oven is preheated to 400 degrees. It just went off, letting me know. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of melted butter, and we're just going to gently brush the tops of these. And as you can tell, they're risen to about double the size, maybe a little less than double. That's okay. They'll continue rising in the oven, and just real gently brush the tops of these. And then guess what? They get brushed again when they come out of the oven. Twice. Now my oven is a convection oven. So I'm going to cook these about 12 minutes. at 400 degrees. So you'll want to watch your oven temperature. It should cook somewhere between 10 and 14 minutes. You want to cook it just to where it's nice and lightly golden brown. We don't want to go too dark. We don't want to overcook our rolls. And if you didn't want to butter the tops right now, you don't have to. Just adding a little bit more flavor here. And halfway through the cooking process, because this is such a big pan, you'll want to rotate, or any pan to be honest with you, you'll want to rotate your pans halfway through. You just want to rotate it so that it gets an even cook all the way around. And I do that with all of my breads. I don't do it with cakes, just breads. Okay, let me take that back. I don't do that with quick breads either. Just traditional knead breads here. So I'm going to pop this in the oven and we'll be back. Ta-da! All done, y'all. Look how pretty they are. Today, for some reason, it took 14 minutes to get them to this. Yesterday it took 12, so I guess today my oven was a little bit cooler. And we're just going to slather the top of these with butter. So from start to finish on these rolls, we are right at about 2 hours. And an hour of that, actually at probably about an hour and a half of that, is downtime. You know, you can definitely be doing something else. I don't know, you could do your hair and makeup. So we're just going to put butter on all of these, and then we're going to cover it with our damp tea towels and just let them kind of rest. Don't they look yummy? If you wanted to, you could definitely brush these with garlic butter. You could do maybe an herb butter on top. You don't have to do just regular butter. You could really get inventive. Ooh, rosemary. Rosemary would be delicious. Rosemary and garlic. That would be yummy. So just use your imagination. Could do toasted Parmesan. We're going to let these rest for 10 minutes. Let the damp tea towels over. Let it rest for 10 minutes, and then we're going to cut one of these open and try it out. Okay, so here they are. They're right out of the pan. They pop right out. Really nice and pretty. And look at this. When you open this, it's just pull apart. Look. That is just screaming for some butter right there. So, let's just put a little bit of butter on it. This is great for your Thanksgiving table right here. So, hey, I was going to eat that. Anyway, I wanted to show you this one as well. This one is perfect, 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 perfect for the next day. When you have leftover turkey and dressing, look at that, yummy. Look, put your turkey, your ham, your dressing, mashed potatoes and gravy, and close that right up. This is a perfect next day roll, but I'm going to have it right now. All right, guys, if you like this video, and I hope you do, and I hope you try this recipe, please give me a big old thumbs up below. Oh, I lost another one. And don't forget to subscribe. And please check me out on Facebook and Instagram. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you later. Bye.